Hey, you ever stop and think, wow, that would make a great story? Same here. On Cat Stories, we pull together short tales from life that'll make you laugh, think, or just go, yep, been there. My name's Kathleen and let's get started. And for our next post, am I the idiot for telling off my professor? My grandmother passed away, and we were very close. I had to fly out of the country to bury her, as it was her final wish. Unfortunately, I also had an exam during this time. I emailed my professor 5 days in advance, requesting a test extension. I made it clear I understood if it wasn't possible, as it wouldn't be fair to other students. I tried to study despite the grief, stress, and traveling, but it was tough to focus. My professor ignored my email entirely. I'm still grieving, and I'm not usually confrontational, but this really upset me for some reason. At the very least, I expected a response acknowledging my loss, even if the extension was denied. Ignoring it felt disrespectful to both me and my family. After the exam, when the other students had left, I decided to confront him. I didn't yell or cuss, but calmly explained that I felt disrespected. I told him I understood if he couldn't grant the extension, but thought not responding at all was rude. He replied, "It's your fault if you didn't do well, you should have been studying." At that point, I told him he was a horrible person with no sympathy for others and left it at that. This man is a state trooper. Unfortunately, I ended up with a B+ in the course. AITA. And for our next post, am I the idiot for seeing my father less now that I've moved states, causing him to disown me? This might be long because this has been building for over 15 years. I 21F moved states about 9 months ago for the first time ever, not for school or anything, just was over my small town. My dad 44M and I don't have the best relationship. Him and my mom 44F divorced over 15 years ago. As far as I know, there was never anything legally discussed about custody, and shortly after they both entered long-term relationships 36F and 40M respectively. After a few years of week on week off, my dad decided to move over 3 hours away. My older brother 24M and I chose to stay in our hometown with our mom since we were both developing lives and social circles, but still we were too young to drive, so every other weekend my mom and dad, or the step-parents, would meet halfway for weekends with our dad. This became pretty taxing to go away that often as we got older and got busier, so the visits got less frequent. My dad and stepmom would come to visit every so often, but they also were busy, so overall we saw each other less. My dad has always been pretty demanding of his children, and at times he's made me feel pretty guilty for not seeing him, talking to him as much, and I personally don't really respond to that type of communication, so I tend to talk to him even less when he guilt trips me. My brother and him seem to have a better relationship, but that's not my circus, not my monkeys. I know he loves me and he just wants to stay in contact, but sometimes it's really hard. I would just like to say that I love my dad, and even all of this doesn't change that. Now that I've moved states, we obviously don't see each other as much, although our top-text relationship, I thought, was getting better. He came out to see me once since I've lived here, and though I've gone back to my home state, I only visited my goddaughter 1F, and I can't afford really to take more time off. We had tried to make plans for him to come for a weekend in November after my birthday, but it was only talked about once and he didn't come. My mom came for my birthday weekend, her plan, although welcome. She also booked a concert for Thanksgiving weekend that was close enough for me to visit on my weekend off. Those are really the only times I've seen her, and they were both on her own accord. About a week and a half ago, he invited me to an event that's on deck 27th. I had already taken off the 24th, 26th, and my mom was able to fly me out so I could be there for my goddaughter's Christmas. Since I'm broke this year and can't really do much in the way of gifts, I told my dad that it was a slim chance, but I would see. I had forgotten to let him know that I wasn't able to find coverage and didn't call him back, and this is the text I received, so I'm guessing you can't make the *event*. Man, I feel like I'm trying and not adding in pressure here, but I feel like you don't want anything to do with me. I'm trying to keep my chin up, but you avoid me like the plague. Even when I try and plan months in advance, I get the scrods left over. It hurts, and I'm not sure what created it, but I'd rather you just name it that. Continue with this charge like you want a relationship with your father, because it really looks and feels like you don't. So Reddit. Am I the idiot for seeing my dad less now that I've moved states? I can also attach the text he sent my mom if anyone is interested. And for our next post, would I be the idiot if I don't spend time with the in-laws? We 34F and my husband 31M have an arrangement for holidays. 1 year on 1 year off kind of thing. Too many people think more than two other people stress me out. But because of this I don't really like holidays. But both families love them, and hubby just likes spending time with his mom. My family loves Christmas and his love Thanksgiving. This year is an off year, where I don't do holidays, no presents, no special food, no people, no stress. My family has been surprisingly okay with this. They still send presents and will send a happy whatever text but will mostly leave us alone. His family on the other hand will find technicalities in order to go around these and off years. Like last time when for Christmas they came on the 26th saying it's not Christmas. This year they said they will be stopping by to just drop things off but still hasn't told hubby a date or time or anything. No one invited them, they are just doing it. I don't want to tell hubby he can't spend time with his family because if he does, but why do they need to come here? TLDR, in-laws invited themselves over for holidays even though hubby and I aren't doing holidays this year. So would I be the idiot if I purposely not spend time with my in-laws while they are at my house? And for our next post, am I the idiot for deciding not to go to my family Christmas due to lack of funds to travel? Every year my family does Secret Santa. We find it the cheapest way to do gifts because instead of buying everyone a gift we only buy one gift and the young kids a gift. Every year a week before Christmas we plan a dinner where we give the gifts. This year we decided to do it at our parents' house as it is in the middle of the towns we all live in. My sisters are an hour's drive from me but about a 25-minute drive from our parents. Well, it was all planned out and we were excited. Then 2 days ago my mom texted me that it was now going to be at my older sister's place because she never gets to host things. But we have been struggling financially and can't afford the gas to go, so I told my mom that if that's the case my family won't be there as we can't afford it. We are $400 short for our mortgage, can't afford food for the house, and are $300 in the red in our bank account. So we sent our gifts with my mom so my nieces, nephew, and our Secret Santa people could still get their gifts, and I asked my parents to grab our and our kids' gifts for us. My husband decided to pick up an overtime shift to try to help our situation. My older sister called me today and called me selfish for not coming to the dinner, which made me mad because I have dropped everything on multiple instances to help her. I found her a lawyer when her first baby daddy went crazy so that she could get full custody. I lent her $1,000 because she neglected to pay her garbage bill for almost a year and her landlord was treating to evict them. I have not been paid back for that and I have paid for her to get gas and get her car fixed many times. So when she said that to me I went off on her and told her exactly how I felt about everything and how she truly is selfish. Now my parents are ignoring me. I'm not sure what's going on with her because I decided enough was enough and removed myself from everything. So am I the idiot? And for our next post, am I the idiot for going to lunch with a friend only to complain? I 18F just had a difficult conversation with my friend Lee 17M, who says I broke his trust over something that happened a few months ago. At the time I was dating Stacy 18F, who had a difficult relationship with Lee. They dated in middle school and act more like rivals than friends, even though they are still somewhat close. Stacy and I weren't very serious about our relationship since it's our senior year. Lee had been making comments for a few weeks about my relationship with Stacy. Things like how I needed someone different, or relationship wouldn't last, how she's a jerk who doesn't care about me. One specific incident that annoyed me was when Lee insisted Stacy wanted me to ask her to a dance. He told me multiple times she wouldn't stop talking about it, even though I knew she didn't plan to go. When I asked Stacy, she told me it was a joke at their lunch table that only got brought up a few times. The final straw was Halloween night. Lee had planned for some friends to go trick-or-treating, but the group got too large and we walked too far, so everyone was exhausted. In a group of 7, we drove to a restaurant to have a snack. Sitting at the table I heard quite a few jabs from Lee at my relationship with Stacy, who was also present. He laughed about how I wasn't even one of her top 5 people, and he later prompted her to tell everyone about the other people she found most attractive, which she did. It was so humiliating to have to sit thought in front of everyone. I had to go to the bathroom and have a panic attack. Later that week Lee and I had planned to meet up for lunch. Soon into the conversation I brought up how uncomfortable his comments had made me. I don't remember all the details, but I did tell him I hated being around him and Stacy together since they often were so negative and left me stuck in the middle. I was firm in telling him to stop talking about my relationship since it was none of his business. I said it felt like he was trying to break us apart. That whole part of the conversation was probably 510 minutes long. I admit I wasn't very gentle about it. I was just so tired of having to deal with his judgment that it all came out quite harsh. But he seemed receptive to it, and we talked about other things for an hour or so. He's been distant for the past months, giving me more negative jabs or ignoring me. When I asked about it, he said I broke his trust by inviting him out only to tell him he was a horrible person. That was never my intention, and if I knew I would have apologized and tried to fix it. It's too late to save the friendship. I feel betrayed that he kept this from me and decided to drift away instead of talking about it. I was just wondering, did I ruin this friendship by jumping on the opportunity to tell him off? Am I the idiot? That's all for now. If you enjoyed the stories, give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Got a story to share? Drop it in the comments. I'm always up for reading them. Until next time, it's Kat. Goodbye.